Howdy, hey, happy Tuesday. Look, you all, I don't know what's going on with my countdown because what happens is, hang on, I hear myself somewhere. Turn it off. Sorry, I had YouTube up. So with the countdown, probably the past few times I've been on here, probably 2 or 3, when I hit the countdown, it doesn't go live, and then, like, it's not showing me the countdown, so I apologize about that, but happy Tuesday to you all. I'm excited to go over this topic. I don't know why it's taken me so long to share this when it's been asked for, but nevertheless, here we are on today. So let me see, first person to hop on today on YouTube was Patrick. Let me see. We're going to do a couple of shout outs real quick, and then we're going to get right into our topic for today. All right. So Patrick is new. He says, "Good afternoon. I'm Patrick from Hungary. I can't wait. Patrick, so happy to have you here." And I think I actually just saw that you joined the community, How to Start an Enrolled Agent Firm. So welcome to the broadcast. Welcome to that as well. Somebody's on Facebook. Whoever that is on Facebook, make sure you drop in the comments, say what's up. DeLacy's on YouTube as well. Good morning to you. Folks that are hopping on LinkedIn, as you are hopping on, make sure that you give StreamYard permission to actually share your comments so I can see them over here. There are a lot of times where I'll hop on LinkedIn later and I will see that people commented, but I missed it because you didn't give StreamYard permission to share your comments. All right. So let me just check really quick, find myself live on LinkedIn so I can make sure nobody is over here. Yeah, because that would really help streamline things if I wasn't looking at 2 screens. All right, and you better believe it, I got 2 people over here on LinkedIn. So Rizwan and Barbara, will you guys please allow StreamYard to share your comments so I can see them over here and just stay focused on this screen. So Barbara Vargas, she says, "Hello, I am new." Hello, Barbara. Welcome to you. I think Rizwan's was actually old. So if you are new here and you don't know who I am yet, you just saw the topic. My name is Timalyn Bowens, and I am America's favorite EA. I'm licensed through the Internal Revenue Service to represent clients in all 50 states about federal tax matters, but it's not exclusive to the United States. If it is a U.S. taxpayer, I can represent them no matter where they are at in the world before the IRS. If you're new here, you might also want to know that I'm the owner of Bowens Tax Solutions, which is an EA firm that is virtual but based in Louisville, Kentucky, and we specialize in helping taxpayers who owe $100,000 or more. They are being audited or they are being levied. Now, last year, and actually it was this month last year, on Tuesdays, I started going live at 11 a.m. Eastern on Facebook and on LinkedIn to share part of my journey with fellow enrolled agents or people who are aspiring enrolled agents. The reason being, when I left the CPA firm, wanted to do my own thing, I realized I didn't want to be a CPA. At the time, I do think I'm going to eventually go back and take the exam, but that's for a different video, right? I could not find anybody else who was in EA or people who had EA firms. So for me, it was important to be here on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. so I could be for other people what I didn't have, right? So honestly, Tuesday videos are a collection of questions that I've been asked over the past 4 or 5 years where typically I would just respond back in a DM or I would email the person back. And time is of the essence, right? And time is money. So I said, what can I do to answer these questions still, but put them in a place where more people can have access to them and I can just refer people to that resource. So that's how we came up with this video series, which I had no plans for how long it would last, but I've taken a few breaks here and there. We've been here for a year Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern to cover different topics relevant to enrolled agents, whether it's passing the exam, how to build a practice, etc. Whatever you all are asking, right? So last week I covered how you can make $100,000 as an enrolled agent, but a lot of you were like, I want to know how you specifically did it. So that's what we're going to get into today. Now, I will tell you this, no questions are off limits, but if it's a question that's not relevant to the topic that we're doing today, it may be something that I've covered in a video in the past, or it may be something that I'm going to do in the future. If I say that, there is no offense taken. I just don't have time to cover it today. All right. So we are going to get to how I made my first $100,000 in 12 consecutive months. And then, because it's different, we're going to talk about how I did it in a calendar year as well. All right. So thank you. I'm going to just go through your last name and say Mohammed. And the reason being, I don't want to butcher your name. On LinkedIn says hello. Rosalind Landry, thanks for being here. Good morning. I'm new. Well, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. I'm glad you got to catch me live. Patrick says, yes, that is right. Thank you so much. And if you don't know what me and Patrick are referring to, I do have an online free community that is on my website, americasfavoriteea.com, specifically for people who want to start an enrolled agent firm. And what I will do, I will put that link in the comments. If you're interested in joining, you do have to request to join, and then we will come through and accept that request. Because let me take you off here, Patrick. One of my goals by the end of this year, I would love to help at least 105 enrolled agents, aspiring enrolled agents, to start their firm. All right, so that's a goal of mine. Over the weekend, we passed the 60 member threshold, which was really exciting for me because I'm more than halfway there. But please be mindful, I am not going to stop at 105. If we go over 105, if we go to 500 before December 31st, first, I will be extremely humbled, but we're going to push forward and help the people that are in there. You guys will see that kind of begin the transition and be more focused starting next month, because there will be that free community, but I am revamping some things in the paid mentorship as well. So I think we're ready to go. Let me put this link on LinkedIn as well, and we're going to get it. So Karina says, good morning. Muhammad asks, I want to become an EA, but where can I get the study material? So I have actually done a video with Brian Hawk from Hawk International, which you're on LinkedIn. You can, if you go to the events, find that. But I also did one with Courtney Selfjack from Glime. Those are the top 2 study materials that I would recommend right now at this point. But yeah, you can find information on that. And I'll also be doing a written review on both of their platforms as well. So if you aren't on my email list yet at americasfavoriteea.com, I would highly recommend that as well. But there is also different IRS publications and things that you can study as well. Good morning, Tanya. And you guys, we're about 9 minutes in, so let's go ahead and get started. So I talked about this a little bit last week. No 2 people's journeys are going to be the same. So for me, as I mentioned already in this video, I wanted to start an EA firm, but I had not seen that done. There were a lot of things available for starting a CPA firm, for starting a bookkeeping practice, for starting a tax practice, and I wanted something more specific. So what I did when I left the CPA firm, I had the privilege of being able to stay at home with my daughter before she went to school. And I took my business a little bit more seriously when she went to preschool, because that opened up more availability for me to work. But I made the decision that when she went to kindergarten, so she was in school full time, I was going to take my business seriously, invest in myself, invest in the business, apply myself, and make $100,000. Now, The math for the $100,000 is really easy, right? You reverse engineer it, say $100,000. This is how much my certain service costs. This is how many times I need to sell that service, $100,000. Boom. It's easy, right? However, the math is easy, but the work isn't, because you still have to put the work in. You still have to be consistent. For a lot of us, clients are not going to just show up at our front door, right? So you have to be intentional with making a plan. And for me, I knew August 2019, she's getting ready to start school. I'm going to apply myself and I'm going to make this $100,000. Well, by August of 2020, I had done just that. And this is what I did. I knew from being at a CPA firm that I did not have to recreate the wheel. I knew some of the processes that already needed to be in place, such as workflow, what it would look like to onboard and offboard clients. But where I did make a mistake is that I was offering too many services. And that is something you want to pay attention to if you were starting your EA firm right now. It's okay to have a lot of different skills. Nice to have a good skill set, right? But when you are marketing, you want to be very specific so you can call out the person that needs the service that you're most passionate about, that is going to also make you money. So when I look at this breakdown from 2019, I wasn't doing bookkeeping full time. Well, no, I don't want to say not full time. I wasn't advertising or taking on new bookkeeping clients, but I still had 3 bookkeeping clients that I liked. Okay. Now, I don't have anything against you doing bookkeeping. If you want to do that in your firm, that's amazing. That's awesome. Go ahead and do it. For me, and where I knew the direction of my firm was going, I could not do bookkeeping. The reason for that is because in 2019, I also started moving into the coaching space. Now, not on my own platform, because can you believe it or not, I actually ran 4 years from teaching other tax professionals on my own platform. Hard to believe if you're watching now, but it's true. I would guest coach on other people's platforms, right? So there were 3 different platforms in 2019 that I would come in and do coaching sessions. So that could be marketing, that could be answering questions about how to actually do a tax return. And then within my community here in Louisville, Kentucky, I was also teaching some classes to business owners. Now, back in 2019, there was no America's Favorite EA. Okay. So all of these streams of income were going into Bowens Tax Solutions. That is another mistake that I made, because we hear people talk about making multiple streams of income, right? That, number one, does not mean multiple businesses. So I'm not saying I made the mistake of only having one business. You have to make sure that you've really honed in and perfected being able to make money in one stream of business before you add something else. Okay. So America's Favorite EA wasn't actually created until 2021. So at that time, I had already figured out what worked in Bowens Tax Solutions, what I needed to do to be able to scale that. So if I hit $100,000 one time, I can hit it twice, I can hit it 3 times, I can hit it 4 times, right? So looking at the breakdown, I have about 15%. No, sorry, I have the numbers written down, but not the percentages. I have about it's 12, 13% of my income came from bookkeeping. Okay. And with that, because I knew I didn't want to do bookkeeping, but I still had a heart for business owners. So if somebody couldn't afford me as their bookkeeper, I would teach classes. Okay. So there are some businesses in Louisville, Kentucky, where I would go on site and I would teach their admin how to do QuickBooks Online. And then I also had a course online. I won't say course because it was live. I had a class online where it was $500 and I would teach people how to do bookkeeping. So with that and the 3 bookkeeping clients that I had, I made roughly $14,000. Roughly. That's not an exact number. With tax preparation, that was where the bulk of my income was coming at that time. Okay. And then the remainder of that income from August 19th or August 2019 to August 2020 was from doing consulting coaching. All right. I had a blog, I was putting stuff out, but at that time it wasn't monetized like it is now. So if you're on americasfavoritea.com, like there are certain articles that you'll get hit with a paywall. I now write for different publications where I get paid for. So I wasn't doing that at the time. Here's the mistake that I want to help you avoid. With bookkeeping, even with 3 clients in those classes, I should have made more than roughly $14,000, but here's why I didn't. When you are an enrolled agent and you have your own firm, it's good to follow your gut sometimes and not your heart. And then there are going to be times where it's good to follow your heart and not your gut. And here's what I mean. I really liked the 3 clients that I was still working with bookkeeping wise. However, I spent a lot of time with these clients and they were not priced at a point that made sense. When I look at the hours that I spent on these clients, if I had spent that same amount of time in marketing, I could have brought in more revenue with less effort. So when you are setting your goal for the $100,000, you have to be truthful with yourself, looking at your services and looking at your pricing. One, if you're doing any type of bookkeeping, you shouldn't be doing bookkeeping for anybody for less than $500 a month. Okay. Now, if you are doing bookkeeping and you've gotten really efficient in it and it doesn't take you as much time, don't lower your price. That actually means the service is now more valuable because you are now an expert in that area. So what I had done was I was working with people where they're at, which is okay. I was following my heart, right? But because that price point wasn't where it should have been, I didn't make as much money as I should have had, which also impacted my home as well because I'm spending time with these clients, whether it's virtually, 2 of them were in person or not in person in Louisville. One was in Evansville, but I would still travel and do stuff with them. And the time that I spent doing that, not making the money I should have, was taking away time from my family, right? Because I had a kindergarten who still wanted time with me when she wasn't at school because she was used to being with me all the time. So when I look back at that, I'm like, wow, that's something that I know a lot of other people do as well. They will find a client who kind of tugs on their heart that has that soft spot, but then we as EAs forget that we're running a business and that we need to actually still make money from the services that we offer. Now, like I said, I was following my heart. I think all 3 of those people still appreciate me. We still have good rapport. I was able to refer them out. However, I was running a business and kind of capped myself with how much I could make at that time. Same thing with tax preparation. If you were able to get certain stuff out really quick, or you're like, I don't want to charge them that much because they could have done this themselves. Well, sometimes you have to observe and say, okay, they should actually do this for themselves. So you can focus on the higher tier clients and getting more of those so that you can learn how to streamline that process. And again, earn more revenue for not as much effort. Is this making sense to anybody? If this is making sense, if you guys are still with me, let me know in the comments. Autumn S is now in the building. She says, good morning. Let me check my numbers out here. So we got 10 on YouTube, 1 on Facebook. Whoever that is on Facebook, thank you for being faithful over there. Drop in the comments, say what's up so I know who that is on Facebook. Thank you so much for the heart. So I know I've talked to Autumn, Tanya, Rosalind's new, DeLacy is on here, Patrick's on here. YouTube people, drop in the comments, say what's up. Barbara, thank you so much for giving StreamYard permission. I can see your comments now. Barbara is new as well. She's over on LinkedIn. She says, yes, it does make sense. Asa, oh, welcome. Asa, I haven't seen you in a while. Says, yes. Mike Go, I should have known, is my faithful person on Facebook. Says, what's up? What's up to you, sir? Best wishes to you right now as you are studying for that exam. Let me see. All right. So since we're all on the same page and that is making sense, once I did it within that span, going back and looking at 2020, I was like, okay, I know what works. I did have the realization that I'm devoting too much time to bookkeeping. I completely stopped advertising bookkeeping unless you were getting it in a tax package, which later I stopped that too. But for 2020, I was grateful to already have processes in place because everybody remembers that's when COVID happened and stuff shut down. So for me, I was able to make over 50K in taxes, which was a leap of over 50%, because I was already virtual. So I was already doing Zoom appointments. I was already setting up a portal for people to upload stuff. Everything for the most part was online unless you were in your 80s, right? Which was another cool thing because I had just lost my last grandparent in February of 2020. So my sweet seniors are always going to have a dear spot for me. What happened was because we weren't doing in-person stuff, all of the AARP locations shut down. So I kind of had a mobile business at the time where I had a price that I was going to charge for people that qualified for AARP. And what I did, I would mask up and I went into a lot of people's homes and I would do their tax returns for them. Well, what happened as a result of that, even though these were super simple, I charged them less than I even would for a simple tax return. These people were so appreciative of my willingness to mask up, go into their homes, do the returns for them right there, that it resulted in a whirlwind of word of mouth business, right? Because then it was like, well, let me call my granddaughter, let me call my son, let me call my daughter, let me call my sister-in-law. And because of that, during 2020, I didn't even really have to do any advertising, but I was still intentional. Now, I worked with those people not thinking about the word of mouth, right? It kind of was a blessing to me too, because like I said, I just lost my last grandparent. I had a good relationship with all four of my grandparents, so I was more than happy to mask up and spend time with these people, right? What I did intentionally in 2020, and this is something you will want to make note of, I did still have too many service offerings. However, I made sure that I focused on marketing the most expensive offer. Because a lot of you guys are missing, you're missing what happens when you do that. So, excuse me, I have not taken on new tax clients for a few years, but in 2021, in 2021, I think I still did in 2022, took on new clients because I talked about solving tax problems. So when you talk about the thing that's up here, people automatically assume that you do the lower items, right? So people that's a business owner, they automatically are like, well, hey, can you do my bookkeeping as well? Can you do my tax preparation? But I'm connected with people that are amazing at CFO practices. They're amazing at bookkeeping, and I can connect them. So what happened during that time is I focused on referral marketing. If you are going to be an EA and do tax representation, referral marketing is going to be your best friend. And this is what it looks like. So I'm going to use Mike as an example, just because he was nice and said, what's up? So Mike is in, he just told me, because I was in Kansas and he told me he wasn't that far away. I think Mike is in Arkansas. So this is what it would look like. Let's say that Mike is not doing representation work yet, right? However, he is working with restaurants and doing their payroll in Arkansas. So I would reach out to I would reach out to Mike and say, hey, I noticed that you're doing payroll in Arkansas. I do not touch payroll unless I'm doing representation work because they owe the IRS and they can't pay in full. Are referrals something that you're open to? If Mike says yes, I'm going to send him my link for a collaboration coffee chat. I'm going to find out about who he wants in his business, that payroll business. And then I'm going to also ask him, hey, Mike, I do representation services. Trust fund recovery penalty is something that, ends a lot of businesses. Can I give your clients a presentation on the trust fund recovery penalty? Now, a lot of you may be thinking, but people reach out and want to just chat. First things first, on LinkedIn, if you look like somebody I don't want to be friends with in real life, I'm probably not going to accept the connection request. Or if it looks sleazy, like you're about to jump in my DMs and sell me something right away, I'm probably not going to accept the request. Now, with that being said, at this point, I do get a lot of requests every day, so I don't always go through them. But when I send a request or a message to somebody, I only send requests to somebody that I would talk to in real life. So if I saw Mike in real life and his profile looks like, I would talk to him at a networking event, then I actually make the connection. I don't go through and just add everybody that I see that's doing payroll, right? So even if Mike says, hey, like, I really don't have anything to offer you, that's fine because I genuinely wanted to connect with Mike. Does that make sense? And I'm not offering payroll services to anybody. I do not touch it. So when people are coming in, they're asking me about payroll. I keep a Rolodex of people who offer services that I don't, so that I'm able to make an introduction to 2 or 3 people that offer the service that they need. And then I'm able to say, hey, Mike, here's Barbara. She has this type of business with 10 employees. Can you meet with her to see if she's a good fit to work with you? Then Mike sees that I was genuine and I really want to help my connections with getting payroll. So I have the opportunity to help Mike. I have the opportunity to help Barbara. And now, guess who's going to be top of mind when they run into somebody that has a tax issue? Me. So as you're starting your firm, there are certain people that are going to be really good referrals. All right. Or referral partners. For me, financial advisors, because the debt level that I work with is like 100,000, right? So you may not know this yet, but when you become a tax professional, you become a therapist as well. All right. So I learn about people's divorces, bankruptcies, if they come into a lot of money. But financial advisors are the same way because they're helping people with their budgets. So if a divorce is coming, typically me or a financial advisor are going to be amongst the first to know, right? So financial advisors, I also intentionally connected with divorce attorneys. I connected with bankruptcy attorneys, and I also connected with realtors and people in real estate. Why? Because to qualify for bankruptcy, you have to have a certain amount of tax returns filed. Well, guess what? When people have put their taxes off, I would say 8 times out of 10, sometimes life happens, but 8 times out of 10 is because they owe and they don't want to deal with that yet. So if somebody's in debt enough to file bankruptcy and they have 2 to 3 years worth of taxes to file, they're probably going to owe. And if they can't pay their other debt, they can't afford to pay the IRS either, right? So with that being said, yes, bankruptcy attorney, let's start this relationship, because even if that client doesn't owe, that bankruptcy attorney, if I keep a good rapport and in contact, they're going to refer their clients to me just to get their taxes filed. Then, when we see if there's a balance or not, that that bankruptcy attorney needs to know that those taxes were filed. I can provide the transcripts that say that. They need to come up with a plan with how they're going to deal with the IRS debt. I can help with that, right? So it's a perfect connection. So because I had done that and I made myself available to different business associations to do presentations about business taxes, I received the bulk of my business in 2020 from word of mouth. And with that focus, I just want to say, by the way, because I went to a mastermind in 2020 in California. So I'm a notebook person. I have everything written down. I was looking at notebooks from back then to see the goals that I've hit, that I set, and some of them that I abandoned. By October 2020, I had already hit 117,000. Okay. So with the referral marketing, if that is something that you invest in, I'm going to say be careful that, one, don't feel like you have to accept the client just because it came from a referral. Still, if they overstep your boundaries, you don't feel comfortable, you don't have to work with them. Two, if you don't offer a service that they need or want, don't feel like you have to adjust your service offerings to offer what they need or want. And here's why. That's another mistake that I made. Now, you guys know, if you're on here, I'm all about impact, the impact that I can have on taxpayers' lives. It's not all about money. But at the end of the day, you should be able to make money from having your own business. There were people who would need certain things that I really didn't want to do. It wasn't in my main service offering, but because I had the skill set to do it, I still did it. What that does is divides your time and efficiency in your business, because now if I'm offering a service I wasn't prepared to offer, I don't have a work process for that. I don't have a workflow to where I can pass it off to somebody on my team so they can complete that for me. So while yes, it was a learning experience, it's also a hindrance. So be willing to say no. Now, in the beginning, as you are figuring out the different types of things that you like to do, by all means, go ahead. Me, remember, began in the tax industry in 2011. So by 2020, I had a pretty good idea of what I didn't want to do anymore. But I was still like, well, maybe this was a referral. It'll be a one-time thing. And again, had too many service offerings. Now, referral marketing did result in more than half of my income that year. The next thing is I focused on and was very intentional on social media marketing. So during 2020, we had the election. We also had the stimulus checks and all these extended tax deadlines. What I did was I was able to get in on the algorithm and start doing videos about topics that people had crazy questions about. For some reason, right before 2019 ended, the whole thing about hiring your child and how to do that properly like took off. Not so much on YouTube. I did upload it to YouTube, but when I uploaded that video to Facebook, it took off and had like 3,000 views, probably, no, 2,000 views within like a month, which at that time was a big deal, right? So as people were coming and seeing that, the type of person that's going to look at a video about whether or not you can hire your child is going to be a business owner. I had a course, Business Taxes 101. At that time, I was doing taxes for business owners. So whatever your marketing efforts are, make sure that you have a funnel to meet people at where they're at. So I'm attracting business owners who have children and families. Cool. For me, with tax preparation, I knew what my prices were. Those had to be adjusted too, by the way. But I knew that I wanted to do a certain amount of Schedule C returns because they cost a certain amount, right? I knew that I was going to make a certain amount. Everything that I do, tax preparation is forms based, has been since I've started. It's not based on how long it's going to take me, it's based on what forms I need to do. Which, Barbara, this is going to kind of get to your question here. She asked, what should be the minimum amount to charge for a simple tax return? Everybody's definition of simple is going to be different. Now, for me, now I have my senior price for seniors who only may have Social Security and like a 1099-R. I do $100. That is the cheapest return you're going to get. The base price, and I'm making sure in my head, my base price right now, I believe, is $250. It's not $275. It's $250. All right. And you may be like, oh my goodness, like they could just do it themselves. As I said earlier, they absolutely can, because I have to make sure if I'm doing something that's going to be worth my time. So going back, Schedule C returns are going to start at this certain price. If I'm doing everything forms based, if I have to do the form for the additional child tax credit, the 8812, and I have to do the 8867, I'm calculating those forms in my head. So yes, if I have somebody who has a business, I also want them to have children because I know how much I'm going to charge for that tax return. So being intentional in my social media marketing, on Facebook, I have this video. I think it's still on the Bowens Tax Solutions page. I have this video, how to hire your child correctly. Okay. That video is going to attract people that are going to share it with other people who have businesses and have children. So there, I know I'm going to get the eyeballs. I know I'm going to get the engagement because I'm going to get all the questions. Next, I'm going to offer my tax preparation services. Okay. But maybe you're not ready to start your business, or maybe you don't have your stuff for taxes together. So I'm offering my tax preparation services, but in addition to that, if you feel kind of lost at tax time and you don't understand your business taxes, I also have this class, Business Taxes 101. So it funneled directly to where I wanted them. So yes, Business Taxes 101 doesn't cost as much as business tax preparation, but remember, at the top of the funnel, you're going to have more people. So being intentional, I have more people up here watching the video. They're going to be my disciples. And by disciples, I mean they're going to follow, they're going to engage, they're going to share it like it's the gospel good news, right? Then we go down. Not as many people are in here anymore, but I have people that actually want FaceTime with me. So I wasn't doing lives back then. These people were actually in a Zoom room with me, and they were able to ask me questions in person. That was the big perk of it, right? I have those people, and then I've built know, like, and trust because now they're following me at Bowens Tax Solutions. Now I have this video that answered their questions. Now I've taken the time to answer their questions personally, because all the class is, you guys, is a group consultation. That's all it is. Built that know, like, and trust. And now I have people that either are going to go DIY their tax return, or they feel so comfortable with me, now they want me to do it. So I was very intentional. Everything I posted on social media about taxes funneled to something. So I wrote a lot of articles about different tax representation topics, and you can still find it, Tax Tips with Timalyn, on the Bowens Tax Solutions page. Those articles were all very intentional and left calls to action. Okay, I've answered your question. This is what needs to be done, but maybe you don't feel comfortable doing it. Book a call with me, and then we would convert from there, right? So we have referral marketing, we have the social media marketing, and then that is also when I was like, let's take advantage of the internet and SEO. So what I did is I went ahead and set up my Google page, my website, and learned how to hone in on the things that people were searching. So even now, if you are based in Louisville, Kentucky, or anywhere around, Guess what? If you type in tax relief, my firm shows up, and it also shows up on a map of downtown. Okay. So, yes, Optima Tax Relief is above me, but it says sponsored. So, who cares? I'm still on that first page of Google for tax relief, and then I wrote articles around that. Now, I will tell you, writing is not everybody's thing, video is not everybody's thing, podcasting isn't everybody's thing. I hadn't done the podcast till 2022, so let me go back to 2020. I knew, though, that as one of my mentors says, with YouTube and blogging, they are the show me state. Like, you have to show it consistency. But by showing that consistency, I am still getting clients to this day from blog posts I wrote in 2020 that were answering people's questions about what was going on with taxes. Okay. And then with social media, the same way I did the funnel with the business taxes 101, or I'm sorry, hiring your child, business taxes 101, now become my tax client. I did the exact same thing with my articles. People would ask questions. I was like, oh, I can write an article about that. And guess what? You don't create one piece of long form content like a blog or a video and just put it out there and never talk about it again. This topic right here, I could probably create a month worth of content about, and people would eat it up, because people aren't going to see every piece of content that you put out, but there are different ways that and angles that you can hit that answer a different question, but are still going to lead to the same video to get that traction. Okay. So for you, you want to make $100,000 within 12 months. One, don't make the mistake I made and have too many service offerings. Number two, write down an exact revenue goal and establish whether or not you want that to be your gross or you want that to be your net. For me, I was like, I want to gross $100,000. Now, I will tell you, as you begin investing in yourself and doing things, that gets eaten up pretty quick, because yes, I did invest in coaches and mentors because I said, I don't want to have to do this all completely by myself. I did have contractors who worked with me as well, like to create graphics. Back then they were doing some posting and some outreach, which I can talk about that later. I did those things. I had multiple preparers at one time. But with the ebbs and flows of business and learning what worked and didn't work, I figured out, okay, I need to have a certain process for certain things before I hire somebody to do it, or else they're not going to like, or they're not going to do it the way that I like it. But I can't blame them if I didn't give them a process for that. Right? So I'm going to go back to Barbara's question. What should the minimum amount to charge for a simple tax return? I don't know what you consider a simple tax return. So, like, that's a very difficult question for me to answer, because I don't know what's simple. For me, I would still consider a Schedule C return with somebody that has clean books to be pretty simple and straightforward. If it's a service-based industry. So if you could give me a little more clarification on that, maybe I can help out. Mike says, I'm sure people will need help when TCJA expires. Oh, absolutely. And that is one of the things, Mike, so I'm glad you brought that up. You know, by the time TCJA expires, you'll be an EA. You'll have your business, right? And maybe you're not doing it full time, but with that, we are already thinking ahead of the curve. Either it's going to expire or it's not. No matter what, it's going to have to be talked about. And once the buzz comes up, because we're rolling off of an election year, so they're going to have to start talking about it. What questions are people going to ask about it? If you already know what those questions are, and you can get on video or even on a post and be like, hey, The TCJA is about to expire. Have you wondered what that will look like with your standard deduction? Well, it can go one of two ways. Either we'll get exemptions back and the standard deduction will be lower, or the standard deduction will probably stay around where it's at now and be adjusted for inflation. Now, this is how it will affect you. Easy 3 to 5 minute video. But guess what? You're going to be there as a resource for when people are looking up that information. And that is how you attract people and get them to show up consistently. Now, just think about it. I started this to be what I didn't have, right? So I already knew a lot of the questions that you guys would have before you even showed up here a whole year later. All of the videos I did initially, so if you go back and look at like August and September, are questions that I had starting out as an enrolled agent. I was ahead of the curve because I already know where you're at, where you've been, so I could answer those questions. And guess what? Now the community here has been built. And yes, I do have videos on YouTube still that help taxpayers, but I have a lot of enrolled agents and aspiring enrolled agents here and tax professionals that listen to my podcast, Tax Relief with Timalyn Bowens, and they're here on this page because I know what questions you have and I've answered them. You guys can be just as intentional with your social media marketing, with your online marketing using SEO with Google, and your referral marketing. If you are working with, let's say, realtors are your referral partners, they're going to refer their clients to you if they need to get their taxes done. Because what I observed is a realtor will tell a taxpayer, hey, go to your tax professional and you got to file these 3 years, then we can talk about what you qualify for. Well, if a person hasn't filed in 3 years, they probably don't have a tax professional. They're probably looking for somebody. So it's more powerful for you to introduce yourself to a realtor and be like, hey, I actually specialize in filing back taxes. If you have anybody that needs to file so you can see what they qualify to sell them a house, I'd be more than happy for you to introduce us. Guess who's top of mind then? And now you're a resource, not only helping their client, but also helping them to make money. See how that works? And you can still be genuine with that and not sleazy. Good morning. Good morning. I'm going to go with Kingsley because I don't want to butcher your name. Mike says, what about conference marketing, like going, for example, to NAEA conference? So with NAEA, that would make more sense, I guess, kind of honestly, if you were doing what I was doing and offering services to other EAs. I can't remember who you want to focus on or if we've even talked about that, but you could do conference marketing. I would start smaller. So for example, tax time is coming up. A lot of libraries in different states will offer or will allow you to have the space for free if your event is open to the public. Why not offer a federal tax update class? There are different organizations. There's a women's organization here, professional organization, and I did an hour tax update class for them. Same thing, reach out to SBA, say, hey, maybe you work with veterans. Say, hey, I have a heart to work with veteran-owned businesses. I'd love to give an hour presentation to those business owners. And then you're able to present and talk for that hour about things that they should be looking for. And then if anybody has any further questions or would like more information, they can book a call to talk with you, right? So marketing at a conference, like you said, for example, NAEA, it can be of value, but before making a big investment leap like that, would suggest like branching out to your network, your circle that's closer to you. Like I said, libraries, SBA, different professional organizations, especially if it isn't tax centered, they are always welcoming to people doing any type of accounting, tax, bookkeeping work. So Barbara says head of household with dependents, married filing jointly with dependents. So I have a pricing worksheet in an article that I did specifically for tax representation, but not tax prep, because even this married filing jointly with dependents is still going to have a lot of um, what ifs. Do they have this? Do they have that? So I would tell you base rate for the returns 250. Dependents are going to be another 100 in my firm. But you have to ask questions like, okay, do they have an HSA that they qualify for and they contribute to? Because now you have to do Form 8889. So I'm charging another 25 for that form. Are these people getting the earned income credit? Okay. If I have to go through and fill out that EIC form, I'm charging more for that. Do they go to childcare? I'm charging more for the 2441. Does that make sense? So there's still base rates, but there's still a lot of different variables there, Barbara. So Patrick, our new friend from Hungary, says, I am currently studying for the first part. I will do all 3 parts in a week. Oh my goodness. Because London is probably the closest exam venue for me in June of 2025. Oh, I understand. Do you have any advice on what to look out for in this case? As I mentioned, I'm from Hungary. I'm a lawyer and will soon be a Hungarian tax advisor. Thanks if you have any comments on this. Well, one, that is very ambitious. I did not think, sometimes I take for granted that like their testing sites like very close to me. Yeah, so just out of curiosity, why do you want to become an enrolled agent if you are now a lawyer? And I'm going to answer your question. So June 2025, if you're going to take them all in a week, if you can, I would do it before June 2025. Because if you're not familiar, the testing window is from May to February. So by the time we get to June 2025, there's going to be updated tax information on the exam. So if you're able to take it sometime in February at the latest, then you would not have to get new exam material. So that would be my suggestion. You most definitely can take all 3 parts in a week. You might need to crash and be on vacation after that. It's definitely doable though, especially if you're traveling. My suggestion again would be to take it February at the latest, just so you don't have to deal with the updated tax information. Because see, right now, if you take it, it's going to deal with the information from 2023 that we just used for this last filing season. However, if you wait till after that blackout period, which is April, why am I messing up? It's March and April is when the blackout period is and you can't take the test. Then you're going to have to deal with anything that was updated in 2024, which as of right now is not going to be anything too crazy. As Mike mentioned earlier, Tax Cut and Jobs Act is about to expire in 2025. So definitely don't push it out till 2026 because you could be looking at stuff completely different by that time. But yeah, that would be my advice, Patrick. Why? 2 questions. Why do you want to become an EA and what are you using to study right now? I personally used Hawk. So, or not Hawk, I use Passkey, which Hawk now has the license to. So I am kind of partial to them, but best wishes with whatever material you are using. So before I leave you, again, make sure you guys have your main service offering. If you are wanting to work with people who owe the IRS $100,000 or more to make your $100,000, your average case is probably going to be $5,000. So that would give you an idea. You could focus on getting 20 clients to reach that $100,000. Now, let's say that you want to do tax preparation and you want to work with people whose return is going to cost $750, right? So if we're looking at that, $100,000 divided by 750, you would need 133 tax clients to reach that. Now, if you want to work with smaller family returns, which there's nothing wrong with, by the way, there's nothing wrong with it all. You have the $100,000, and let's say divided by 350, you would need to work with 285 people. Okay. And remember, during tax season, you are still the owner of the business. So make sure you set those boundaries. You don't let people come in last minute. For me personally, the past 2, 3 years, I have taken off the majority of the month of April, because I'm not going to run myself ragged during tax season because people waited to get me stuff late. So you can spread that out and make sure that you have good communication with your clients to go ahead and extend them. And of course, if you're working with people that are doing back taxes, that's going to be all year round. So that 285 people doesn't have to be from January to April 15th. It can be spread out throughout the year. So have your $100,000, figure out what services do I want to offer. Don't choose any more than 3 to focus on. So, for example, um, I'll probably be teaching classes again when Tax Cut and Job Act, when they make adjustments to it. I don't think they're going to let it completely sunset. I think they'll probably extend certain areas of it. I'll be teaching classes again because guess what? We have a lot of tax professionals right now that never did taxes before the TCJA. So they're going to be completely lost. Depending on what I have on, that might not be something that I market. It'll still be something that I offer. And then what will happen is, same thing with the funnel, guys. TCJA, I'm going to talk about it, the problems that we may be facing, quote unquote problems, because if you're not ready, any of it's going to be a problem that we may be facing. And then I'm going to say, hey, if you want to learn more about this is how you contact me. Because I'm going to have taxpayers and tax professionals reach out, and then I can say, hey, yeah, I actually do have a class that I'm teaching on TCJA updates and what tax professionals should know. You can sign up here. When I have the taxpayers, like, hey, yes, I have a consultation for you that you can purchase here to learn more about how it's going to affect your personal situation. But I'm not going to be marketing tax representation, EA mentorship, tax preparation, bookkeeping, and be all over the place, right? Because you guys realize when you market 10 different things, you look like a chicken with your head cut off on the internet instead of looking like the expert in one thing. You're here right now watching this video because in some way, shape, form, or fashion, you see me as an expert in the enrolled agent space, whether that's in building your business or you like me, so you want to learn how I made my first $100,000. In some way, shape, or form, you were like, Timalyn Bowens is an expert in this, and that's why I'm going to spend 58 minutes to watch a video of hers, right? So make sure that you hone in on what the service is going to be. You set your price, which is a little, it's trickier to do with tax preparation, even for me, with stuff being forms based, because you have to figure out what the price is going to be based on the form, and then you have to figure out how to go and attract that type of client to make sure that you get 285 people whose tax return is going to be at least $350, right? So again, make sure that you have your revenue goal, you have your service offerings, no more than 3. Figure out what that price would be. So then you can reverse engineer to figure out how many clients at this price point do I need to make $100,000. And from there, you can create your marketing plan and play, and you can go run the play and make the $100,000. Now, again, if you were starting an EA firm, go ahead, make sure, I'm going to drop it in the comments again, that you join How to Start an EA Firm. It is a free community on my website right now. I'm putting it on LinkedIn as well. If you are interested in actually having a little bit more hand holding and joining the EA mentorship program, send me an email at Timalyn at americasfavoriteea.com, because there is some revamping going on and a price point change. Because I'm changing how I'm doing that. So it'll be like 2 live calls, and it will actually be on Zoom. So you'll get to see me. I'll get to see you. We can do some screen shares. And so there will be a call for case support. There will also be a call for just me teaching a certain thing. So it won't be like this. I'll actually have a slide deck. It'll be a little more intentional with that. And then, of course, they'll still have there will be a podcast still. It just won't be weekly anymore. And then there will be the paid subscription articles and a few other add-on courses that I'm doing as well. But I'm excited about that. Let me see. Patrick says, thank you for your answers, Timalyn. I study with Gleim Premium Materials. They're constantly updated. Okay, cool. So yes, Gleim does guarantee that you get the updates, which is really cool. I think still my only advice, again, if you can, which I know you're traveling because you have to go to London, I would still try to take it before the end of February 2025, just for your sake, so you don't have to study the updates and like know the updates after spending, what are we have 4, after studying for 6 months, right? Certain material, then it changes on you. But best wishes to you studying that. Looking forward to getting to know you better in the groups. Like I said, I just saw that you joined this morning. JOAB Philosophy said EA mentorship is great. I'll let you guys in on a secret. That is my husband. Thank you. Thank you, husband. Barbara says, I'm interested in becoming an EA. Awesome. You are in the right place. If you'd like, I can send you some articles on how to do that. And right now, Barbara says, do you take any interns? I am not taking any interns at this time. But there are other people in my LinkedIn community that are. So I probably will go ahead and start posting some of those opportunities. But for me, I'm not taking interns right now. If you guys have any other questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments. If not, I'm going to love you and leave you. You get some work done before I get in the car rider line. Patrick says, yes, it is clear. Thank you. It's great that you help us with such humility. I appreciate that, Patrick. Well, alrighty then, you all. Thanks for hanging in here with me. To my 2 other people that were on Facebook with Mike, shame on you for not commenting, but be sure you give me some stars before you close the video out. On YouTube, make sure that you have liked it. Go ahead and subscribe so that you get a notification for next Tuesday when we're live at 11. And on LinkedIn, I'm just going to trust that you guys are at work. I can see the celebration, the thumbs up, support, and the hearts going up. I appreciate it. I am so sorry because I'm just now looking at LinkedIn and I think I got some comments that I missed. Sorry about that. Erica, no problem. You can catch the replay. I'll get off so the replay can start. Barbara says, good session. Thanks. And LinkedIn user says, looking forward to the next one. Alrighty then. And you guys remember, if you are on YouTube, if you are doing super thanks or chat, your suggestions for the next video have priority. Same thing on Facebook. If you give stars, your suggestions do have priority for what we cover in the next video. I'll see you guys next time. Let me see. Great session. Could you please drop your email here? Sure, it is Timalyn at America's favorite EA.com. And LinkedIn, for whatever reason, StreamYard does not carry this over. But if you're on LinkedIn, you can just shoot me a DM. All right. All righty, then. Well, I'll see you guys next Tuesday. Bye.